Okay, thank
That's
you.
new.
Yeah, welcome to Zoom, where something changes every day. So I want to welcome all of you to Open Door Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Barbara Jeffries. I'm the minister here. I'm delighted to be here on this Sunday and to welcome all of you to this celebration service here in our community. I am now going to turn it over to Sylvia Kearns to play our welcome song.
Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that sees who you are. We are of one mind. We are of one heart. Welcome to a place that knows the truth that God is everything. God is me, God is you. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that sees who you are. We are of one mind. We are of one heart. Welcome to a place that knows the truth that God is everything. God is me, God is you. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that sees who you are. We are of one mind. We are of one heart. Welcome to a place that knows the truth that God is everything. God is me, God is you. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that knows you as God. Welcome to a place that knows you as God.
And welcome to Open Door Center for Spiritual Living. It's now my pleasure to turn it over to Deborah Belcher, licensed Science of Mind practitioner, for our opening invocation.
Here we go. So as we gather together, we be together, we breathe together, we know that what that is spirit breathing, spirit being, spirit evolving. And so as we be and breathe, we know that we are this divine, infinite intelligence manifesting. We know that we speak with the voice of the divine. We think with the mind of the infinite. We love with the heart of spirit. Whatever we do is our autonomous choice in how we use this essence, how we be this essence, what we create for ourselves and experiences the world around us and the people in it for ourselves. And so as we go into this time together of study and reflection and discussion and listening, we know that We are evolving spirit as we speak, as we move and breathe and be, even sitting silently with attention. And we know that as this, all that can unfold here is spirit's intention for the highest, for the greatest evolution, for the most brilliant next greater expansion. Because that's all that happens. That's what spirit does and is. Creation and experience ever expanding. And so we know we listen with the ears and heart of God to the voice of God in our time together here. And we all unfold as the essence of this energy, whatever we may call it, each in our hearts. We know we be it. And so I bless this gathering. I bless each one here. I am blessed to be here. And with a grateful heart, with much gratitude for us, for all that is, I release this onto us into this time together, knowing that wonderfulness unfolds. And with gratitude, we say together, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Deborah. That was beautiful. And it reminded me of a quote from the late, amazing Ram Dass, where he, I think as a fairly young person, was witnessing his mother hold a cup of milk, feeding the milk to his younger brother. And his comment was, it's God feeding God to God. It's all the divine. My friends, we're so blessed this morning to have Reverend Karen Linsley back with us. I'm just delighted to have you continue to return to Open Door, Karen. We welcome you and welcome your wisdom and your wonderful connection. Thanks for being here today. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much. And it is my great pleasure to be back here with all of you today. I was wondering if you guys had expectations, because the last time I was here, I had sort of a lighthearted talk prepared for you. And this time, I don't know how lighthearted it is. We'll see how it goes. But you played the perfect song and you did the perfect treatment, because both of them speak to my topic today. My title of my talk today is called Rocking the Boat, by the way. And the song and the treatment both spoke to that essence of oneness that we teach around here, and that I like to think we all practice. And that's that belief or that knowingness or that feeling that we are unique, individualized manifestations of God. And so I kind of feel like I'm preaching to the choir this morning, but perhaps you need a reminder of this. So, and I have a little bit of different take on what that concept of oneness actually means. And it does rock the boat sometimes. I mean, when I first heard about this concept of oneness, it did rock my personal boat. But it also allowed me to step into a place of claiming my personal power. And so today I want to talk about all of that stuff. I want to explore questions like, whose life are you really living anyway? I want to explore, are my beliefs, are your beliefs really yours? Or were they installed by someone else? Do they need some perhaps tweaking or removing and installing of some new beliefs? Do we do things because we really want to do them, or because we think we should? Do we feel a part of? Wherever we go, parties, intimate gatherings, grocery store, great big huge anonymous concerts, doesn't matter where. Do we feel a part of the human race? Or do we feel separate from? Do we feel a little bit of loneliness no matter where we are? Do we hide behind layers, excuse me, of politeness and shoulds and shame and guilt or fear? So these are the kinds of questions that I wanted to just throw out there today, and for your contemplative pleasure, if you can call it that. And I don't know about you, but for me, when I explore these kinds of questions, and it may not seem pleasurable in the moment while I'm exploring them, but it's pleasurable later once I get through and get my answers, because I always get answers. If I explore these kinds of questions with an attitude of open-mindedness and willingness, I always get answers, but sometimes the answers I get might rock my boat, and they might rock yours too. Because sometimes when we ask ourselves these kinds of questions, the answers we get might indicate to us that we are not living as large as we could be. We aren't living as large as we want to live. We aren't living up to our full potential. And of course, I'm sure you guys have heard this quote before. This quote sends me into a different space. It changes my energy. And it's by Marianne Williamson. And if you've heard it before, I hope you love it as much as I do. If you haven't heard it before, here we go. She said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." It just gives me the chills every time I sink into that quote. I hope it does the same for you. So today, what I really want to talk about is the underlying way of being that lies underneath all the rest of those questions I presented to you in the beginning. That underlying way of being is manifesting the glory of God that is within us. It was in the introductory song and it was in the prayer. You guys spoke of this. And when we go into that place where we manifest the glory of God within us, yeah, sometimes it does rock our personal boat because we realize we haven't lived as large as we could. That rocks our boat. It's a little bit scary to step out into that space sometimes. But when we live larger than we ever dreamed was possible, when we feel more a part of than we ever felt before, when we live in integrity with our values and beliefs, and thus do what we want to do and don't do what we don't want to do, and we eliminate the word should from our lives. I happen to think the word should is a dirty word. It's much dirtier than those 4-letter words that people don't like me to say from the pulpit. And I won't say any of those, but I could. Anyway, that kind of living where we know all this stuff about ourselves, it begins in one place and one place only, God. Everything else is an outpicturing of our connection with God. And how deep that connection goes is how successful we are at rocking our own boat. And so I have another question for you. Why would we want to rock our boat anyway? Why would we even want to do that? I mean, what happens when we rock the boat? Stuff happens. We fall out of the boat. We fall in the water. The boat rocks. We might get seasick. All kinds of things happen. Here's my experience. If I don't rock my own boat, it's going to get rocked for me. because it's God's good pleasure to give me the kingdom. And if I don't claim that kingdom in my own place, in my own right time, I'm going to get pushed and nudged and squeezed until that boat gets rocked, because change happens. And I have a choice. I can either be proactive about it and respond well to it and get the gifts, or I can be a victim of it and react mindlessly to it. I much prefer the former. I've done both. I much prefer the former. Plus, when we have a deep inner connection to God, when we know that we are moving as God, that we are speaking the voice of God, when we are manifesting as a unique, individualized manifestation of God, rocking the boat seems relatively easy. It's effortless. It's beneficial. And so all my spiritual practices, they teach spiritual practices around here. They're all aimed towards one thing: deepening a deeper connection with God, knowing God and thus myself better. And that brings me back into oneness. That brings me back into that place where I acknowledge that I'm a part of God, just as the wave is a part of the ocean. I love what Ernest Holmes has to say about it. He says, we are individualized centers of God consciousness. That means, at least in my translation of it, that my consciousness is God's consciousness and God's consciousness is mine. Now, I just made a jump there. Maybe you guys have made that jump too. I have a feeling you have, because after all, you played the song and you did the treatment. I think you've already made the jump. But maybe this little reminder will help. This kind of stuff where we know that our consciousness is God's consciousness and God's consciousness is ours, that can sometimes rock our boat. Because when we allow that realization of total and complete oneness with God to come into our beingness, all of a sudden there's certain ways that we speak and walk in the world. I don't know about you guys, but I never refer to God in the third person. I never say God is doing this for me, or God is doing that for me, or it's God's will, blah, 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 blah. I never say any of that stuff. I never refer to God as if it were something or someone else. It feels foreign and wrong for me to do so. That's third person. I don't do that. I speak of God in the first person, honestly. I believe that I am a part of God, that I am God, that God is with me, a part of me. I feel that I'm a wave in the ocean. I feel that I'm a breath in the air. I acknowledge that I was manifested so that God could experience the physical. And when we claim this oneness, when we own it, sometimes that's when our boats get rocked. I'll never forget the day that I felt and knew without a doubt that I was so connected with God that we were one. I got that concept of oneness. So I'd been cruising. Well, I hadn't been cruising through life. I'd been experiencing a lot of bumpy roads and walls and hills to climb and a lot of stuff. And I had decided that I needed a closer connection with God in order to move past all of these bumps in my life. And so my boat was rocking big time. It was already rocking. I was in danger of falling out. And I really didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. Now, to this day, I do not know how I came across this book. Have no idea how I got it. Don't remember if I found it in a bookstore. Back then, there were bookstores. Don't know if I found it in a bookstore somewhere or if someone gave it to me. I have no idea. But I came across a copy of Conversations with God, Book 1 by Neil Donald Walsh. And I opened this book and I was reading it and I started soaking it up because Walsh was saying things I'd never heard anyone else say before. And I was positively giddy with joy because at last I found someone who thought like I did. I had no clue. There were other people in the world who thought like I did. I had been in a 12-step program, and if you're in 12 steps, it's all about a third person God. And I was fearful because I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to get it. I wasn't going to be able to stay in recovery because I could not and would not grasp that third person God. I love the 12 steps, by the way. I still go to meetings today. I love it. But my God is not a third person God. So I'm reading this book and I'm reading along and I'm soaking it all up and I come across this. See if this sounds familiar to that Marianne Williamson quote. Your thought about yourself is that you are not good enough, not wondrous enough, not sinless enough to be a part of God in partnership with God. You have denied for so long who you are that you have forgotten who you are. And I don't know that I ever even had a clue of who I really was at that point in my life. I knew I wanted to know who I was, but I didn't have a clue. And what I did know was that I wasn't enjoying life, and somehow I knew that a closer connection to God was the answer. I wasn't supposed to fix any of that outside stuff. I wasn't supposed to change careers. I wasn't supposed to move. I wasn't supposed to get involved in yet another relationship. I wasn't supposed to do any of that stuff. That's all outer stuff. And outer fixes are temporary and fleeting, and sometimes they don't work so well. They just don't work so well. So I knew I had to go within. Walsh goes on to say that the promise of God is that you are his son, her offspring, its likeness, his equal. And that right there is where my boat got rocked, even bigger than it was already getting rocked. Because culturally, I had been told my whole life, there is absolutely no way I can be equal to God. Oh my God, the arrogance of that statement. Blasphemy. How dare you say such a thing? My entire boat got rocked. We resist this culturally in this neck of the woods. We embrace, and our culture is Christian based. And that's the message of Christianity, that God is something separate from us. There is absolutely no way we can be equal. So yeah, that's a big rocking of the boat. And we get, judged when we talk about this stuff in these terms where I'm equal to God. So I started looking at my language. And, back then I didn't even like the word God. So I had things like the universe. It's the will of the universe. And the universe will give me this. And the universe will do that for me. And I started looking at that language and went, I'm still living with an outer God, even if I'm calling it the universe. And this book, this thing that made such a big impact on me is telling me, no, it's not out there. It's in here. It doesn't matter what I call it. Yeah, my boat got rocked big time. And here's what happened when my boat got rocked that initial time. In that moment of realizing and knowing and feeling that God and I were one, that I was God's equal and God was a part of me, I was simultaneously blasted with two entirely new truths about myself. And they were about empowerment and personal responsibility. Personal responsibility, because in my newfound partnership with God, I knew that the words I spoke and the actions I took and the thoughts I habitually had played a big part in how my life was outpicturing. And I knew I needed to change my words and my actions and my thoughts. I also knew that God was no longer an entity that did things for me. God was simply the energy and the impetus giving me the power to do what was mine to do. And that was pretty empowering, but also a little scary because I had never claimed my power before. And that empowerment piece came also because all of a sudden I could no longer blame God for what had happened in my life. And if I can't blame God, I certainly can't blame anyone else. At least that's how it works in my world. Because I know or knew all of a sudden that anytime I blame anyone else for anything, I'm making a victim out of myself. Blame equals victimhood in my world. So when I stopped blaming, I became empowered and I became a different person. That's what happens to us, like instantly, willy-nilly. All of a sudden we have this realization and we're different. And we come home and we're different. And we look at our family and they go, who are you? And what did you do with yourself? We're different. So it rocks, not only rocks our boat, but it rocks the boat of the people around us when we do this work. We begin to claim our power and we begin to set boundaries. All of a sudden, our family is going, what? No. Yeah. When our boat rocks, the boat around us rocks a bit too. Because we begin to realize that what used to be acceptable in our lives is no longer acceptable because we're different now. And sometimes that means we love our family from afar. I do that with my family right now. And I don't know that that is ever going to change because my boat got rocked and I set some boundaries and they refused to honor them. So I love them from afar. Someone said that to me just the other day because we were talking about that. And we get to love the people in our lives sometimes from afar. If they don't want to go along with us when we're rocking our own personal boat. And yeah, that's what happens. When we rock our boat, sometimes people look at that and they go, oh, your boat's rocking, baby. I'm out of here because I don't want my boat to rock. And they leave because the waves are disturbing their boat. They leave. Or sometimes they say, wow, you're rocking your boat and you're okay. How do you do that? What's up with that? Talk to me about that. And they stick around and we have good conversations. Rocking the boat's kind of cool. It really is. So I just want to talk about this oneness thing a little bit further. Because as a minister, this is something I see and encounter daily in my work. This concept of oneness, we teach it in all of our classes. We talk about it from the pulpit on Sundays. And it seems to be one that people in centers for spiritual living embrace. But sometimes they embrace it only up to a certain point. I can't tell you how many times I've talked with someone and we've talked about oneness and they've said, oh, yeah, I love that concept of oneness. It's great. And then later on in casual conversation, they'll say something like, well, if it's God's will, it'll happen. And I'm like, what? What's up with that? That's not oneness. So we unconsciously go back. We only go just so far with this thing. And I'm back to, I don't refer to God in the third person. I don't give God credit for anything. Honestly, it's us, me and God together. We do this thing. Ernest Holmes describes it really nicely, and he does it over and over and over again. Let me give you some quotes here. I got a bunch of them. I believed these quotes. I believed it when Ernest Holmes said, each of us then represents the whole. I believed it when Ernest Holmes said, the thing then works for us by working through us and as us always. I believed it when Ernest Holmes said, I am a center in divine mind, a point of God consciousness in life, truth, and action. I believed it when Ernest Holmes said, we arrive at the conclusion that God as spirit is conscious life. This is the inner meaning of the teaching of the I am. And because I believe all of that, I will never imply nor say anything that would lead anyone listening to me to believe that God is separate from me. In fact, I quite frequently like to say that I am God, but only in companies such as yours. I don't say this at public level. That'll get me burned at the stake. But sometimes I'll say other things like I'm the manifestation of God. That's a good one. But I say it only when I'm feeling powerful enough and mischievous enough to be able to voice that, because yeah, I do fear getting attacked. I do fear getting bullied. I do fear having people judge me harshly because of the things I say about God. So yeah, I'm not fully stepping into my power with that. But there is this little thing called discernment about where we actually speak our truth. So with this absolute and glorious sense of empowerment and personal responsibility, power comes with great gifts, but with power also comes responsibility. And we get to move and live and walk in the world in such a way as all of a sudden people come to us and say, what's up? You're walking like you don't have a care in the world. You're loving life. You're living in joy. How do you do that? And then the door gets opened and we can start to speak to people about some of this. We can start to speak with people about some of that and gently dance around that I am God stuff. We might say I am and leave it up to them to figure out. I am. I am what? What is she talking about? I am. The great I am. What is she talking about? I kind of like to play with people like that sometimes. I don't know about you guys, but I do. So the call for us with this whole oneness, rocking the boat, empowerment topic, being God, is to take the time to explore our beliefs about who and what we truly are, and change those beliefs when necessary to rock our own personal boat and to find great peace in that place. So my affirmation for you today is great peace in the belief that we are one with God, that we know this oneness and we feel it. And so I pray. Today I need no recognition of God, for I am the place where God shows up. And so I speak my word now for a continued and ever deepening belief in and knowingness of my oneness with that power, that energy force, that light, that love. I feel this power because there is no place where God ends and I begin. No place where I end and God begins. We are one. And so I move through life with the power of God at my fingertips. And with this power, I know. And with this knowing, I affirm goodness in my life. I affirm peace in my life. I affirm success in my life. I affirm prosperity in my life. I move out into the world with this peace, and from this place of peace, I have clarity about what is mine to do and what is not mine to do. And I do what is mine with efficiency and grace. And I release the rest with gratitude. And I continue that gratitude, knowing that the law has already taken my words and acted upon them with a resounding yes of affirmation. And so I release and anchor with those wonderful words. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Reverend Karen, that was awesome. What a wonderful and deeply inspiring message. I feel lifted to just another place in consciousness. That was just delightful.
Thank you.
I think we have music now.
Let me be a candle, let me be a radiant star, let me be a beacon, shining who you are, let me be the miracle I've been dreaming of, let me be a lantern of your love. Shine through me, shine through me. Let the light within me help this troubled world to see. Shine through me, shine through me. Use this willing vessel, Holy Spirit. Shine through me. If a friend grows weary, I'll come and take his part. If a child is hungry, I'll give out of my heart. In the darkest hour, I will lend a light from above. I will be a lantern of your love. Shine through me, shine through me. Let the light within me help this troubled world to see. Shine through me, shine through me. Use this willing vessel, Holy Spirit, shine through me. Shine through me, shine through me. Holy Spirit, shine through me.
Beautiful. Thank you. And so if you will join me now, as we know, as we experience, as we see made manifest in consciousness through action, activity, change, and good things happening all across this world, know with me that each and every being, everywhere, immediately in this moment and forevermore and beyond, has a greater understanding of itself as holy, as the divine, expressing that each of us is as a channel of light, of love, of wholeness, beaming not only into ourselves, but all around forevermore. We see every being, every species. We see all that is made manifest as part of this beautiful planet and beyond, its oceans, its skies, its wildlife, all of it as spirit expressing its multifaceted, amazing self. Know with me that each and every one, as this knowledge is ever more fully internalized, changes for the greatest, for the lightest, for when we begin to see that we are truly God made manifest, everything changes in our world. Our awareness of ourselves, our perspective of others, our perspective of all it is healed, made whole, brought forth from a greater place into a more fully orbed expression. We say thank you this morning for this awareness. We know that lives change now for the best. We say yes, and we open ourselves when needed to be the boat rockers, to be able to open, to not live in fear, but to say, yes, this too is mine to do, and I move forth in joy to do it. In gratitude, we release this. We know it is done, and together we say, and so it is. It's been a really fantastic week here at Open Door Center. I want to thank all of you for your donations and your engagement. It's just been a fabulous time for us. If you would like to make a contribution, you can do that by mailing it to Open Door Center for Spiritual Living, 30 North Ridgepoint, Apartment T as in Townhouse 5 in Sylva, North Carolina. You can go to our website, that's findadeepertruth.org, and make a donation that way. Click on the donate button, and at the bottom of the page, you'll find a button that will allow you to donate either through credit, debit, or PayPal. Our email is there, and the phone number is there as well if you would like to get in touch. A reminder that 2 weeks from today, June the 6th, Sunday, June the 6th, we will be having our annual meeting, and it is most important that everyone who has any interest at Open Door participate in that. You do not have to be a member to be a part of that meeting. That will take place after the regular Sunday message. We'll probably take about a 5-minute break and come right back and move through the things that we need to do as part of that meeting. I hope that all of you can attend. We definitely will be seeing some changes in our leadership and on our Wisdom Council. And at that time, you'll get a full report of our financial movement through 2020 and to some degree up into 2021 as far as we can take that. It'll be a great experience, and I look forward to connecting with all of you then. We also have our annual picnic coming up. That's not until September the 11th. That will be a face-to-face expression, which we feel pretty good about this happening. So I think it's going to be a great reconnection. That will be, again, Saturday, September the 11th. It will be at Western Carolina University in Cullowhee. We're going to need help, folks. It's going to take a lot more manpower and stuff that we no longer own. So be looking for flyers about that. Be looking for ways in which, if you are interested, that you can step up and support the expression of that physically. In years past, let's see, the last time we did this in 2019, we had about 60 people there. folks from CSL Asheville, the Creative Thought Center in Waynesville, the Meditation Center and Open Door here in Silva, and the Spiritual Light Center over in Franklin. I'm also working to try to get contacts with both the UU Center in Franklin and Wayfarers Unity Chapel in Dillard, Georgia, and let those folks know about it, and hopefully actively invite them to come and participate this time. Wouldn't it be amazing for us to have representation from 7 different spiritual metaphysical centers just right here within 100 miles of each other in Western, oh my God, North Carolina? Okay, that's, that's really a pretty amazing thing when you think about it. There was a time when I thought, golly, I must be the only person with a metaphysical perspective here in the mountains. And that's just so not the truth. We're everywhere. We just have to kind of dig and find ourselves and then share our light and let each other know that we're here. It's really a wonderful thing. I think that's all that I have to say in terms of announcements or other things. Anybody, anything else I need to contribute? I want to say thank you to our practitioners, Deborah and Sylvia and Carol with us today. Laura Rosewood, of course, is also one of our licensed practitioners, and I know that many of you are cheering her on as she moves rapidly into her graduation from Holmes Institute on June the 12th. That's going to be a really amazing experience for Laura, and it will be Zoomed. So if you want to, you can actually attend that live, remote. I actually have to work for my full-time employer that day, so I won't be a part of that, but I know it will be the South Florida, or it's not South Florida, but the Florida graduation from Holmes Institute will be wonderful. So anything else I need to say or we need to cover before we close this up with Carol with prayer? Okay. Again, I want to thank you, Karen. That was awesome. I know everybody loved it. I loved it. We will work to get it downloaded off Zoom and uploaded onto our YouTube channel as soon as possible. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Carol. And I thank you all for being here today. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Reverend Barbara. And thank you, Reverend Karen. That was just delightful. Such a great reminder that the very air we breathe is the air that was given to us, was created by us, was breathed by Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and Mother Teresa and you and me. Because in this teaching, we know that there is truly just one living energy, one cosmic being that breathes and moves and has its being in, around, and through everything and everyone. I am it, as each one of you are it. And so as I listened to Reverend Karen's message today, I was reminded of something I read in the Bible, and it says, to everything there is a season. And we know that as spiritual beings, we are ageless. So I ask you today, what is your season? Is your season one of rest and contemplation, or is your season just possibly activity and movement and evolution and change? And if it is, we must all step up and rock our own boat. We need to recognize that there is the potential for a greater experience, a greater understanding, a greater involvement in this universe. Rock that boat. Gallop on that horse. Dance in your own living room. Do whatever it takes to get you out of that comfort zone that you have been in. Because doing that just stepping one toe out of that comfort zone, your experience deepens and blossoms. We all know that the best things in life almost always happen outside of our comfort zone. And so today, right now, I challenge you, and I myself make the commitment to rock my own boat. And it is with the tools of this teaching, Science of Mind, that we are able to do this and know that we know and do and be what is ours to do and be. And so it is with a grateful heart that I just say thank you to all of you for being here today, for this center, for Reverend Barbara, for our speaker, Reverend Karen, for everyone. Just knowing that we are of like mind. And in this circle, we can say, I am God. And so we just know it's done. It's already there. It's already ours. We accept it. We claim it. We do it. We be it. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Carol. Wonderful. What a wonderful Sunday service. Thank you, everyone, for being here, being a part of this.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Reverend Karen. Looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay. All right. Bye, y'all.